Hello and welcome to the Smart Entrepreneurship Decoded, a show where we try to go beyond the superficial and speak to our guests to try to find that one insight, that one tip, something that we can try practically in our own lives to get to become a better version of ourselves. Today, I have a very special guest, more a friend than a guest, and he's all the way from Kolkata. I could speak for hours about him. Often, when you watch a movie on entrepreneurship or read an article, there are certain stereotypes, like there are for anything else. In entrepreneurship, often it is about a young man who, apart from pursuing his education, is deeply passionate about an idea, creates a business out of it, sells it after lots of adversity for a whole lot of money while he's still very young, and goes on to higher and higher and higher material wealth. That's the stereotype. One half of it is true about our guest today. He is a tech entrepreneur who, from the age of 19, started working on an idea and at the age of 22 had set up his business and had a very successful exit. But that's where it ended, the stereotype. After that, he came back to his hometown, Kolkata, and set up Kolkata Ventures, which has helped more than 4,000 entrepreneurs till today. There is a little more difference about him compared to other lives that you see in entrepreneurship. After people become very, very, very wealthy, they try to find God or they suddenly discover God. But our guest today has always valued the mental side over the material side, has always valued the spiritual side more than the socially accepted successful side. And that's why he's special. I could tell you he's a multi time TED speaker, speaks at all the top institutes, has been a TV host. I could tell you so many other things about him, but it's better we hear from him in person. Please join me in welcoming Avelo Roy. Welcome,
Thank
Avelo.
you very much, Nalin Ji, for a very wonderful intro. Very grateful.
Well, you've accomplished so much in such a short period of time. Most of the people, for what you have done, they would be around the age of 60, but you seem to be a very wise person in a young man's body. Is this how you were from the start? I mean, anybody who reads your bio knows that you're born into a family of freedom fighters, a very illustrious family. There is a family business. You could have been a politician. You could have chosen to relax and run your family business. Calcutta is not the most happening place for driven, passionate people at the age of 19 for entrepreneurship. For other things, yes. So, what was it? Were you born this way, or what were you trying to do?
Well, I started meditating at the age of 5, if that tells you something. So yes, I was a little different always. Always kind of looked into things a little deeper than most people do. To me, death was something very, unique. It's like, how come that I won't exist, but the tables and chairs and windows and doors would exist, right? There must be something between somebody who's alive, a conscious being, and something that's dull matter. And I was experimenting, exploring, reading, and that was my quest. And yeah, a 5-year-old doesn't do that, but that was who I was, and I have not changed much. That's the secret that I still am today.
So, you tasted success early, and I'm sure it was not easy. Why the different path after that? Why not serial entrepreneurship? Why not the next bigger thing? Why a different approach where you're helping other entrepreneurs and you seem to be trying to discover a spiritual side to yourself? Why the shift in path?
So I mean, I have lived through all my dreams, to be honest. I mean, first business at the age of 19, 22, I sold it. Then thereafter, 8 businesses, 3 exits. So I've lived through building my own thing and doing my own thing. And if I don't do anything for the rest of my life, it's okay. I'm good. But what when I came to India, and it was not my will that I came to India. It was deaths in my family that forced me to kind of come back and take care of things. Uh, what I noticed was that the support I had received in the U.S., the kind of mentorship, kind of the support system from the Chicago community that I had received, is not there here. It is available for those who come from business families. Their parents help them, their uncles help them, but not for a common person who has a dream but doesn't know how to do it. And it started from being a judge at a business plan competition. I saw these kids had potential, but they have no clue what they should be doing. They're asking for 10 crores in funding with a PowerPoint, and I was like, it's not their fault. Let me help them out. And it started with casual helping, but then it was like a waiting list of 45 people, after I did one event. And I was like, this is something that I have to somehow curb and put in a standardized form. And that's why Kolkata Ventures was born, to kind of give it a little shape rather than me doing it alone, bringing in my friends from the US, from Hong Kong, from India, and then creating this kind of a platform where entrepreneurs help entrepreneurs. Because as you rightly said, in Calcutta, it was a lot of people who have been consultants, who have been highly paid employees who are talking about startups, having read books but never built one, right? And I saw that there was that gap here, and here are entrepreneurs who could help entrepreneurs, because one who has struggled through the process can actually understand somebody else's struggle and help them. And more importantly, why I do this is, when I was figuring things out as a teenager, my mentors that helped me, when I wanted they told them, what can I do in return for you? Because they have everything,
Yeah.
they said, give it forward, give it to the next generation, right? We don't need anything, but make sure that this legacy continues. What we have given you should continue to the next generation. And that's what I continue to do, is out of gratitude for my mentors, I give it forward to future generations, so they don't have to struggle the way that I had to, or they had to, so they can succeed faster, and fail less.
You touched upon two pet peeves of mine, one on the mentoring and one on funding. And I've seen your videos on YouTube. You're hugely popular because of not only the content of the videos, because they're short, they're succinct, and they hit the point, and you don't mince words.
Correct.
That's a style I relate to. Let's take up the first one. In one of your videos, you spoke about don't get cheated by mentors. Now, you have been blessed to have very good mentors, right? What do you mean by don't get cheated by mentors?
So I'll tell you, the kind of mentors I have had. At that time, the CEO of Motorola, the CEO of Nokia. This was before iPhone came out, so they were the best phone makers. I
Stop for a
had
moment. Stop for a moment. How did you get these people?
They were on the board of my college. They
Okay,
were patrons of my
go ahead.
trustees of my college.
Go
So
ahead.
through my professors, I asked them, through them contacts, through their contacts, got to the trustees. And when they saw that there is something to be proud of as a university, these guys have come up with the innovation, which was basically Apple Watch before Apple Watch. It was a necklace, kind of like a smart necklace. They were like, hey, we should support this guy, at least help him out, connect him, fund him, etc. So getting that access was very, very powerful. And I saw even 5 minutes with a very you know uh, experienced CEO is so much that you learn in those 5 minutes. No bullshit. I mean, I had the same experience talking to you when we met, I think, in Himachal Pradesh. I think we spoke for 15 minutes over a dinner conversation. I got so much out of that. So that's the real stuff, like when you get the real insights. Versus, there are so many out there today that are the copycats of Tony Robbins and Simon Sinek. They watch that one TED talk that they'll keep repeating over and over again. And when I hear them, I know exactly which TED talk they're referring to, or which book they're repeating, or what they have memorized. Literally, it's the word for word, and that takes you somewhere. It gives you a little motivation, but you and I both know motivation doesn't go too far, right? Insights do, how to's do, step-by-step processes do. And I think that's what a mentor does. It holds your hand and kind of gives you a path, and you figure out your path, but at least you have some idea of, these are the standards and these are the things to look out for, these are the things not to do, these are the things to do. I might choose to do the things not to do, but at least I know. And there's a huge difference between 5 minutes with a person of experience and 5 minutes with book knowledge.
I agree. I myself am very vocal about fake investors, fake, midlife burnt executives walking around like mentors, taking equity for free, collecting portfolios. So I relate to that. Talk to me about now. You often find the word passion used so much for entrepreneurship. Does everybody have to have? I mean, is entrepreneurship the kind of a socially accepted, almost compulsion for the youth today? Do people have to follow their passion to get a profession? I mean, does everybody have to do that? I mean, is passion overrated?
I think the word is psychophysical nature. A lot of times people ask, what is the kind of startup to do which investors will invest now? Like, why does it matter? What matters is how you can add value with your skills and qualities and solve a problem of a market. And that's what is important, to be honest. And if you do that, if you're aligned with your psychophysical nature, as it's said in the Bhagavad Gita, so everybody has their strength and everybody has a weakness. If you can figure out what your strength is, then you will be able to be at your best and solve the problem at your best. And when you see you're doing something better than others, it gives you a boost, it gives you confidence, right? And that progress is what passion is really, where you feel that jolt of energy, like, wow, I'm actually good at it, let me do more of it. Oh, I can't sleep because this gives me recognition, this gives me a fulfillment, this gives me a self of satisfaction, recognition, whatever that one might be, that I can do something that better than others, right? And I can solve problems as an outcome, and byproduct of that could be money. So that whole process is passion. Now, a lot of times people don't know what they're passionate about. They think they like to watch movies, so movies is their passion. But that's not necessarily true. If they were asked to make a movie, they probably wouldn't be able to do it. So passion is about finding out what you do best, better than others. You're gifted to do that, and really becoming the best at it. And as you do it, you have a lot of fun. It's not work anymore, and that seems to be high energy. You can't sleep, and that's passion. And that's
So
not necessarily it's there at the beginning, but as you do, as you figure out, as you go through the journey of self-discovery, you figure out, oh my god, I didn't know. Like for me, being an engineering student, I never knew what marketing was. I heard the term marketing, people do MBA in marketing, but I didn't know what it was. But after doing multiple businesses, on every business I would do product development, I would also do marketing and branding and brand positioning. But what I realized was I was really good at understanding psychology and how to explain my product in such a way to a certain audience that they understand, whether it's investors, whether there's a customer, whether the co-founders. And later on, I understood this is what marketing is: literally educating others about why something that you're selling is valuable. And although I don't have a degree in marketing or anything like that, I realized that is my passion. And eventually I realized it. So that's what I do. I don't hire a CMO. I'm always, in my companies, I am the one marketing, because that's something I have. But it took me a long time to figure that out, through the journey of self-discovery. So yes, I didn't start with it. I started with product development technology, which is kind of boring in one sense, reading legalese, hundreds of pages, reading patents. For me as a kid, I was filing for my own patent, and going through all that legalese was hard, but it was not fun. It was not passion, but it was something that would lead to my passion. And that's what propelled me to do it.
So a couple of points there. You hear this often kind of debate: should entrepreneurs seek perfection, or should entrepreneurs just go with what is just about right, or just little better than what is available for their products themselves, etc.? Is it better to seek progression, like compounding interest, getting better and better at something step by step, rather than seek perfection? What's your view on that?
There's no such thing as perfection,
Okay.
because otherwise we wouldn't have so many. Every phone is better than the previous version of the phone, right? So it's eternal. You'll always try to make more perfect, more perfect. So better to start with where you are, into incremental progress, compounding progress as you go along. Some people, especially us engineers, tend to seek perfection, and in the process they get lost at analysis paralysis. And I've seen companies that are stuck for 3 years, 4 years, just building features forever, never touching the market, never caring what the market wants. And before they can even launch, companies have built their product, got exits, and got it out, and they're still building out. I'm truly telling you, like, true story. you know.
True.
So that's what
I've seen a
perfection
few,
leads you to.
yeah, I've seen a few entrepreneurs spend years and years perfecting a product because they are more like PhD scientists than business people. And ultimately, the proof is only if people use it and there is acceptability of the product.
And unfortunately, people equate themselves with Steve Jobs. When Steve Jobs was coming with the phone in iPhone, he was a perfectionist, but he's Steve Jobs, right? He's one in a trillion. I mean, not everybody has to be Steve Jobs, and given who we are, we can either sit there and just figure out, or actually keep making progress and earn as you go along.
Let's move to the second pet peeve of mine, which you also mentioned, this obsession with funding. But I saw a video of yours that says how to set up a business without cash. Now, if you showed that video to a young person in college, they would basically say you're a lunatic. How is that possible? Give us a few examples. What? And I know you're right. I know half the people who come to us seeking funding actually don't need cash; they need advice. But how do you break that barrier, or is it too tough a thing for us to try?
So when I made that video, it was still a new thing. But if you look at today's teenagers, they're more mature than today's 20s, people in their 20s. Teenagers are actually figuring out this zero money thing, where they are starting with drop shipping. They're starting out with some way of making money using internet, laptop, and their phone, right? And once they have a little money, then they go into crypto, or they go into stock trading, or build something, IT company, website company, something. So that's smart. That's what actually is the zero money idea. But people in the 20s, I have seen being like, oh, it's only for the rich people. Unless you have an investor, you can never start your startup. And I'm like, okay, so if you don't get an investor, do you start? No. Like, then you're not an entrepreneur. Go get a job. That's the job mentality, right? Otherwise, people, jugaad is basically, you figure out a way to make it happen, regardless of somebody helps you, supports you or not. Money has many names. Money can be in the form of favors. Money can be in the form of barter. Money can be in the form of credit. Money can be in the form of gifts. Money has many names. If you don't have cash, if you don't have a rich dad, figure out some other ways of getting what you need. And that's, most people don't have that, and that's why most people are actually not meant to be entrepreneurs. And it's good that they try to be entrepreneur, because it opens up their mind, but eventually they go get jobs, because that's the best place for them. Because otherwise they would burnt, because the journey of entrepreneurship, you and I both know how hard it can be, how burning it can be, and how much mental strength it requires to go through all the struggles. One doesn't have to, unless one's crazy.
You burned me tonight when you gave the example of the movie business and passion, because you hit a raw nerve with me right away. But well, I saw another video of yours. Actually, I follow you a lot. You a lot, your videos on the Bhagavad Gita, lessons from there, on the mental side of things is very enlightening. Even if you know it, it is often refreshing to see it again and somebody else propound it. I don't know of any other young person trying to talk about the mental side of things, which we know is a lot. You spoke a little bit while earlier about you don't have a degree in marketing, but we don't have a degree in parenting, in loving, in most of the things we do in life. There is no degree for that. Where do you go? You have not even gone to school for that. But you figure out, you learn, some get better, some are good at it, some are not, some get better over time. What is the mental side? On that, I want you to focus on a particular area. There are a lot of books written about the early morning club, 5 a.m. club, call it what you like.
Mhm.
But the common thread I take out of it is a lot of successful people, not all, some of them are not morning people. A lot of successful people tend to have a certain routine whenever they wake up to set themselves up for the day. A lot like sports stars go through a pre 3 4 hours mental conditioning or thinking of how they set themselves up for the day. Do you have a mental routine or a
I do.
morning routine? And if yes, if you're okay, would you share that with us just for our viewers? How does it
Sure.
work?
First thing is, I get up and I offer my respects to God. I offer my gratitude for another day. It's another opportunity to do something wonderful. Um, I write down after that three things that I want to accomplish today. Three key things that I want to accomplish that is aligned with my long-term goal. Then I do the washroom stuff, get cleaned, come out, and then do meditation. I meditate for 2 hours. And after 2 hours of meditation, I start checking my emails and going through those three things that I wrote down on my to-do list. And then everything else is kind of like after 10 a.m. or so, it's kind of my assistant takes over and he has his whole schedule. And one after another, we go through calls and whatnot, meetings and whatnot.
So the point I noted most important in that is you write down the three things you want to achieve, right? It's
Yeah.
not that you think about it. You write it down.
Write it down.
Do you go back and recheck in the night, or what's that process
No,
like?
as I'm going through the day, I'm checking off from the list that this is done, this is done. Unless it's done, I have this, I have to get it done. That sense of kind of unsettling feeling. And that's important because that keeps me from wasting time.
Okay.
Because that unsettling feeling is like, oh, I cannot waste time, I cannot get distracted. I have to finish those three things.
Okay. No, that's good to know. Do you have any advice for people who sleep very late compulsively? I mean, they can't help it. They are just not morning people. Should they just have another routine, not called the morning routine, but something similar?
In the Vedic system, it is given that the 24 hours is divided into 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hour segments: sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, or goodness, passion, and ignorance. And all three are important. And if one wakes up not in the goodness period, he will wake up in the passionate period, where it's kind of a mismatch, because you need that little time in the morning to kind of get ready, kind of slowly soothe into work, versus you're pounced into work, right? That is a little difficult. So aligning with nature is always better for health, for mind, for everything. But if you're not able to do that, wherever you start your cycle from there on, whether it's a meditation part or whatever, but slowly start, allow your body, your mind to soothe into your work, have a plan for it, what you want to accomplish, rather than being random. Really know what you want to do today. How do you want to use the next 20 hours of your day? And that way, if you plan it, at least you achieve what you achieve. Even if you're not able to wake up in the morning, at least plan out the day. Start with a little bit of meditation, breathing exercises, so that you can psychophysically align yourself to do the best you can. Having said that, if one is compulsively waking, staying up late, I would suggest try it one day. Even if you are up all night, just try to see working in the morning what it feels like. I think that experience by itself is very rewarding. When you realize by 10 o'clock you're done with half the day's work, when everybody else is getting to work, you're almost done with the day's work. It's a great, fulfilling feeling. And I think even if one can experience that, one will understand the value of morning hours, and that would propel kind of try to achieve that.
Okay. So, fine, you start in the morning, you've got a to do list, you've done your meditation, you're set for the day, you run through a calendar. How do you keep yourself nourished in terms of knowledge? Now, everybody says they read, they do this, do that. What do you read? What do you read? Where do you find it? Because for young people, firstly, reading is not a habit that is very fashionable nowadays, beyond the 140 characters. But most of them, in the clutter of the information we have, don't know what to read, where to find it. What do you read? What does a person like you read to have this kind of knowledge and wisdom?
So first of all, let me just say I'm also one of those young people who doesn't like to read. So I hear. For me, audiobooks work much better than actual tangible books. And my bathroom time is very sacred. So that's when I almost spend 45 minutes. And I have a wireless speaker. I have Audible app. And I listen to various books. But I alternate it. On one day, I will hear from Audible. Another day, I'll be hearing from my guru about Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. So spiritual lessons one day, and another day it would be more on the mechanics of life, that kind of book. So how do I get it? I generally get recommendations from people like yourself, who are successful, who have a history of being efficient, productive. I have a really great friend in Nepal. He keeps giving me the best possible book. He is the founder of this company called Toodle, which is a copy of Uber. So he's one of those millionaires in Nepal who's come out of the startup boom. So I used to advise the Prime Minister of Nepal. So there's quite a few success stories that have happened in Kathmandu. He's one of them. So, and he's a very wise man. Sikshit, his name is, and he gives me certain book recommendation. I get from my mentor. I get from some of my CEO friends, but I get it from people who are really somebody I respect. And when they said, read this, Avelo, you would love it, I do, because they know. And if they have benefited it, I can see in their business the difference it has made. And that's validation for me that it'll work for me too.
That's good to know. So that goes back to having a group of mentors you respect and who can provide you inputs of different kinds. Because every mentor doesn't necessarily have to guide your business; they could be
Correct.
guiding you.
Correct.
So that's a good point. I'm going to move to another topic, something that you made a video on as well. Lot of entrepreneurs, and I don't mean to demean tier 2 and tier 3 towns because there is a caste system of that in India's entrepreneurship world. uh, I do believe they come up with better ideas and are more grounded, but they lack confidence. They lack the ability to communicate in a manner that the sophisticated world of the English speaking elite or the brown sahibs kind of seek, because ultimately they have to deal with such people either for investment or growing the market or as their clients, etc. It's inevitable. What is the advice to them? How do they build their confidence? How do they build that communication, effective communication? That doesn't mean fancy words, but just effectively deal with these people who are seemingly more sophisticated, seemingly.
Confidence comes from your grasp over your market understanding. And if there is any progress or success, no matter how small in your startup, the fact that you've been able to make that happen brings in the confidence. So my suggestion would be actually get to know your market, get to know the problem, and get to know validatedly that these people are willing to pay for your product or service. Because that, for me, when I look through, I don't look at investors to guide me. I look at my market to guide me. When the eye lights up and says, oh, really? You can build that for me? I would love to pay for something like that. That inspires me and that motivates me. So I suggest the same thing. I have seen many times people who cannot speak English and be like, can I speak in Hindi? And they're super confident, they're super articulated, and totally okay. Most people are fine with that. As long as you can help me understand what you're doing and why you're valuable and why your solution is better than 10,000 other solutions out there, right? So it's not a matter of language, it's a matter of uh, your depth of understanding. If you're confident on your product, others will have confidence on you. And so it's first important that you get convinced. You look at your competitor analysis, you look at all the patents, get to know the market scenario and get to know that you have a chance. And when you're convinced, oh my God, this is something I've hit gold, that will come out in your speech, no matter what language you speak, no matter how bad a communicator you are. And that actually sells to investors or co-founders or whoever you're trying to convert or convince to help you. That's what sells.
Super. Now, I watch a lot of your Bhagavad Gita videos as well, and you're very kind to send them to me on WhatsApp. Give me or give our viewers one favorite analogy or story of yours that would help an entrepreneur in their journey from the Bhagavad Gita. Something that's dear to you, something that resonates with you.
Sure. So in chapter 2, Krishna says that chapter 2, text 62, I think. Just 4 verses where he talks about the 8-step process of how a person gets attached to certain object, a material object. And once they get attached, then expectation arises. If the expectation is unmet, frustration arises. And frustration evolves into anger. When anger happens, one's memory is bewildered. When bewilderment of memory happens, you forget who you are. You say things and you do things you regret later on. And eventually, you end up hurting yourself and hurting others, right? I find it absolutely beautifully dissected anger, how anger starts and how it can destroy you. And now most CEOs, most entrepreneurs have an ego. Some know how to sugarcoat it and hide it. Some know, some don't. Especially those who are young. And I have been that. I have been arrogant. I have been that kind of a guy who would get a criticism and not be able to take it and write back immediately without thought, and then regret the whole day. Oh man, I should have written that. That person is very useful. Blah blah blah. And send 5 more emails apologizing and all of that. And I found myself doing that over and over again till I understood this Bhagavad Gita verse. And then I caught myself. Am I having expectations? Am I caught in attachment? Am I getting frustrated? This means I'm going to angry now. If I get angry, I lost control and I'm going to say and do stupid things. Avelo, pause. Breathe. Walk around, drink some water, come back, and with the optimal mind, think, how should you respond? Should you really say that? Or should you say something a little bit more polished? And I tell you, Nalinji, 15 minutes of gap has saved me so much embarrassment. Of course, do I get angry? No doubt. I'm building something amazing. Somebody criticizes my product. I get absolutely mad. But then I give myself time. I breathe in, I breathe out. And with the optimal mind, I respond where they're not hurt. I'm not, taking their crap either. But it is something that's a mature kind of communication. And I think that's one thing, if I can explain from Bhagavad Gita. There's many things, of course, but there's one thing that I can say. If I
Thank you
may
for
share
that.
another one, if I may, just one more thing I want to share, which is
Go
very,
ahead.
very useful, at least for me. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about the 3 modes. Like I said, the 8 hour, 8 hour, 8 hour, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Same thing with people. We all have this combination of sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, goodness, passion, ignorance. But some people have more of one, like one dominant out of the 3. And as a manager, as a CEO, if you can recognize what the person is has the dominant characteristic, you know how to motivate them. So for example, people who are more on the sattvic side, who have a balanced life, are more on the academia side, they are motivated by recognition, by respect, not so much by money. A person who's more the rajasic, they are, with more money, more achievement. If you make others them look better than others, they feel motivated. Employee of the month, or you got a bonus that nobody else could get, etc. And then the tamasic folks, they just need sense gratification. That means give them something, booze, give them some kind of way to just gratify their 5 senses, and they'll be happy. So a raffle ticket, go watch a movie. So if you understand this, who is what mode, then accordingly you can manage them, motivate them, and give them what they want and what would get them to give their best to your company.
Very important points. Some of my takeaways from what you just said, and I put it slightly differently for people who get angry and tend to speak before they think. I tell them to practice a 1 second gap between the brain and the tongue, and their natural intelligence will temper the words, at least temper the words. But you gave a much better way. One of the things I've noticed, I don't know whether you've experienced it or not, is often some of these very passionate people who get angry at criticism, etc., or some uh, feedback. Often they're angry at themselves for not having thought about it, rather than somebody pointing it out. The
I guess the more intelligent ones would be angry at themselves. The
Yes,
less intelligent ones are upset about other people.
oh,
Like, how dare
absolutely.
you not see how great a person I am?
That's true. That's very true. So we are coming to the end of this chat, though I could go on chatting with you for hours. But tell me, you came back to India, and now, of course, you're also participating or running your a very traditional family business.
Mhm.
How has that experience been? I mean, do you feel like sometimes just going back?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Kolkata Ventures is great, but the family business dealing with manufacturing and laborers and unions and bribes and corrupt politicians. Oh my God, it's horrible. I mean, it's really not a gentleman's
But you should
job.
not say corrupt politician. You should just say politician.
Maybe you're right. But the point is, it's really not a gentleman's world to do business in India in a physical, traditional kind of a way, where you really don't have any control as a CEO. If you have 100 employees, they have their union and they have their power to tell you what to do. They will bring in a political party and they will have power. There's the police, but they don't do anything. What I realized, I didn't know this actually, but what I've realized is there's the judicial and the police and all this system created by our constitution, and there's a parallel system of gundas and politicians and all these people, and these guys tend to be more effective than the police if you need anything done. So you pay taxes to the government, and you pay yearly or monthly taxes to these local thugs, just to make sure they don't put a puncture in your truck's tire or whatever else, right? And it's like, how do you do business? How do you make profit? I mean, you have to have insane profit margins to be able to pay taxes to two parties and survive. And God forbid, if you hurt somebody's ego, you're screwed. So
Yeah, welcome to Kolkata from California. So, absolutely, last question. You're mature, you're wise. You really give some great insights and advice to people. Do you have a fun time? Is there a fun side to you?
uh, not in the traditional way that others would think.
Okay.
On a daily basis, I do watch certain detective shows or whatever. End of the day, I throw a party to myself, me, my mind, and some show on Netflix or whatever. When it's not Corona and pandemic, we have spiritual retreats where for almost 10 days, I go to Vrindavan or places of pilgrimage and intensely kind of deep dive
You
into.
remember I sent you photographs from Vrindavan when I was there a year and a half ago.
Oh, a year and a half ago. Yeah, I guess same time I went also, but it's that. So really spiritually immersing myself into happiness that most people don't understand, but to me that is a happiness that cannot be, the flavor of it cannot be compared to anything of this world, and that's my way of kind of recharging my batteries and refreshing my mind and finding inspiration to do what I do every day.
Fantastic. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you
Thank you so
very,
much.
very much. Have a
Thank you.
great evening. Hare Krishna to you and
Hare Krishna.
talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care.